D.
Dabble in.
He first dabbled in herbal medicine when he was 19.
Dally over.
My wife dallied for a long time over whether to buy a new car.
Dally with.
I sometimes dally with the idea of moving back to the countryside.
Damp down.
The serious defeat has dampened down my enthusiasm for politics.
Dance to.
She is dancing to the music.
Dangle from.
A cigarette is dangling from his mouth.
Date back to.
The temple dates back to 1862.
Dawdle away.
They dawdled the whole evening away watching TV and talking.
Dawdle over.
He dawdled over his lunch until the bell rang for the beginning of the class.
Dawn on.
It suddenly dawned on me that advertising is not suitable for me.
Deal in.
Jack went into a business dealing in firefighting equipment.
Deal with.
There are many difficulties to be dealt with.
Debar from.
Convicted criminals are debarred from running for office.
Debase oneself by.
Don't debase yourself by taking money as a reward for doing something wrong.
Debate about. Debate on.
They are debating about abortion.
Deceive into.
They deceived me into marrying that woman.
Decide against.
I have decided against promoting Jack to manager.
Decide on.
After seeing all the candidates, I have decided on this woman.
Deck with.
The streets were decked with national flags.
Declaim against.
He declaimed against the evils of globalization.
Decorate with.
We decorated the tree with colored lights and balloons.
Decrease by.
Oil prices decreased by 50% in less than a year.
Decrease from, to.
The population has decreased from 23 million 20 years ago to 22 million now.
Decrease in.
Houses have decreased in value.
Dedicate oneself to.
Mr. Liu dedicated himself to teaching.
Dedicate to.
I would like to dedicate this book to my parents.
Deduce from.
I deduced from her accent that she must be of German origin.
Deduct from.
Health insurance costs and income tax have been deducted from my salary.
Default on.
He defaulted on his mortgage payments.
Defeat by.
We defeated them by 2-1 in Saturday's match.
Defect to.
Mr. Lin defected to China 20 years ago when he was stationed in Jinmen.
Defend against.
I picked up a stick to defend myself against the dog's attack.
Defer to.
We defer to specialists.
Define as.
A lie is defined as saying something untrue.
Defraud of.
She was indicted for defrauding the company of millions of dollars.
Degenerate into.
The argument degenerated into a fight.
Degrade oneself by.
You only degrade yourself by exchanging angry words with a woman.
Delegate to.
What a boss has to do is set a policy and delegate tasks to his workers.
Delete from.
His name has been deleted from the list.
Deliberate about. Deliberate on.
We met to deliberate about a solution to the water shortage.
Delight in.
Jane delighted in making fun of other people.
Deliver of.
Helen was delivered of a healthy girl.
Deliver on.
We will vote out of office any politician who fails to deliver on his promises.
Delude into.
He deluded me into believing that he is innocent.
Delve into.
I delved into my pocket and brought out a coin.
Demean oneself by.
I won't demean myself by begging him for leniency.
Demonstrate for. Demonstrate against.
The workers are demonstrating for a pay increase.
Demote from, to.
He was demoted to sergeant for failing to fulfill the mission.
Demur at.
We demanded a pay raise, but our boss demurred at it.
Denounce as.
We denounced the plan to build another temple as a waste of money.
Denounce for.
He was denounced for selling out his friend.
Denude of.
The fire has denuded some parts of the hill of trees and grass.
Depart for.
The train will depart for Tainan.
Depart from.
Powell's comments depart from U.S. long-standing policy toward Taiwan.
Depend on.
We depend on our parents for food and clothing.
Depict as.
The politician is depicted as a crook in this novel.
Deplore as.
In 1990, Iraq invaded Kuwait. The UN deplored the invasion as an infringement of Kuwait's sovereignty.
Deport from, to.
Illegal immigrants are to be deported to their own countries.
Deprive of.
People in communist countries are deprived of their civil rights.
Deride as.
The president is now derided as a lame duck.
Derive from.
I derive great satisfaction from my children.
Descend from.
The singer descended slowly from the stage.
Descend into.
The city was descending into chaos.
Describe as.
Tim is described as an honest man.
Designate as.
Osmond has been designated as managing director.
Desist from.
If only politicians could desist from vilification and dissension and set out to do their duties.
Despair of.
He despaired of passing the driving test.
Detach from.
You can detach the application form from the pamphlet and fill it out, then mail it to us.
Deter from.
The shop installed a video camera to deter customers from shoplifting.
Deteriorate into.
A scuffle between the police and street vendors deteriorated into an island-wide riot in 1948.
Detract from.
Several mistakes in your book are not going to detract from its value.
Develop into.
Their friendship has developed into love.
Deviate from.
His behavior deviates from the norms of civilized society.
Devolve on. Devolve upon.
The cost of repairing the car will devolve upon Jim.
Devolve to.
City governments demand that more responsibilities be devolved to them.
Devote oneself to.
Jim has devoted himself to finding a cure for cancer.
Diagnose as.
The doctor diagnosed Irene's illness as a mild form of diabetes.
Diagnose with.
He was diagnosed with lung cancer.
Dictate to.
My teacher dictated a passage to us and we took it down.
Die away.
The sound died away and an absolute silence closed in upon us.
Die down.
The wind finally died down.
Die for.
I am dying for a cup of coffee.
Die from.
He died from a knife wound.
Die of.
He died of hunger.
Die off.
The pigs are all dying off from foot and mouth disease.
Die out.
Dinosaurs died out millions of years ago.
Differ from.
His car differs from mine in color.
Differentiate from.
It is the call that differentiates a wolf from its cousin, the dog.
Dig for.
They are digging for gold.
Dig in.
I have to dig in and hope I can turn things around.
Dig into.
She is going to have to dig into her savings again.
Dig out of.
The police are trying hard to dig the truth out of the suspect.
Dig up.
Tim can always manage to dig up a fresh idea. He is quite innovative.
Digress from.
Don't digress from your subject while you are writing.
Dip into.
Parents are forced to dip into their pockets for expensive school uniforms.
Dip into.
Dip your hands into the water.
Direct to. Direct towards.
Our teacher directed our attention to a portrait on the wall.
Disabuse of.
I disabused him of the idea that women are less cruel than men.
Disagree with.
A high-fat diet always disagrees with me.
Disagree with.
Your account of the accident disagrees with Mary's.
Disagree with on. Disagree with about. Disagree with over.
I strongly disagree with you on what should be done.
Disapprove of.
I strongly disapprove of a teacher imposing his own ideas on his students.
Discharge from.
He was discharged from the army last week.
Discharge into.
Industrial waste is discharged into the river, causing fish to die.
Disclose to.
Mr. Robin was accused of disclosing classified information to the enemy.
Disconnect from.
You must disconnect a microwave oven from the power supply if you do not use it.
Discourage from.
The bad weather discouraged them from going on a picnic.
Discriminate against.
People tend to discriminate against the disabled.
Discriminate from.
We should learn to discriminate fact from opinion.
Disentangle oneself from.
He tried to disentangle himself from a love-hate relationship with the woman.
Disguise oneself as.
He escaped by disguising himself as a woman.
Dish out.
Mom dished out fried chicken.
Disintegrate into.
The Soviet Union disintegrated into several separate republics.
Dismiss as.
I just laughed and dismissed the idea as impossible.
Dismiss from.
If he's late again, he'll be dismissed from his job.
Disparage as.
The tycoon's work for charity was disparaged as a publicity stunt.
Dispatch to.
Mr. White was dispatched to Germany to cover the flood news.
Dispense to.
The relief workers are dispensing food to the earthquake victims.
Dispense with.
I think we can dispense with a computer.
Displace as.
Letters have been displaced by email as a major communication medium.
Dispose of.
We must dispose of the used syringes.
Dispossess of.
He was dispossessed of his farmland.
Disqualify for.
He was disqualified for being late.
Disqualify from.
He was disqualified from running for office because he had dual nationality.
Dissent from.
Many intellectuals were sent to prison for dissenting from the dictator's political views.
Dissociate oneself from.
He dissociated himself from my view about politics.
Dissolve in.
Salt can dissolve in water.
Dissolve in.
You can dissolve sugar in water.
Dissuade from.
I tried to dissuade my students from smoking, but to no avail.
Distance oneself from.
You should distance yourself from bad company.
Distinguish from.
Some people can't distinguish right from wrong.
Distinguish oneself by.
John distinguishes himself by his bravery.
Distract from.
The shouts outside distracted our attention from work.
Distribute to.
At the closing ceremony, the prizes were distributed to the winners.
Dither over.
He is still dithering over whether to accept the invitation.
Dive for.
He dived for cover.
Dive into.
The boy dived into the swimming pool.
Diverge from.
The path diverges from the highway and leads up the hill.
Diversify away from.
To survive, our company must diversify away from our core business.
Diversify into.
Some publishers are diversifying into the multimedia market.
Divert from. To.
A loud noise diverted my attention from my book.
Divert into.
He was accused of diverting public money into his own real estate in America.
Divest of.
He has divested himself of his stocks.
Divide among. Divide between.
His money was divided equally among his 3 sons.
Divide into.
The teacher divided the class into 4 groups.
Divorce from.
It is difficult to divorce sports from politics.
Divulge to.
A teacher is not allowed to divulge his students' personal details to anyone.
Do away with.
I have decided to do away with my old clothes.
Do down.
He has been trying to do his rivals down.
Do in.
That tough climb did me in.
Do out.
The house was beautifully done out.
Do over.
If the mayor doesn't like the design for the new stadium, we must do it over.
Do up.
Chris did her buttons up on her dress and went out.
Do with.
What have you done with the iron? I want to iron my shirt.
Do without.
It's almost impossible to do without a car in America.
Dole out to.
We are doling food out to the refugees.
Donate to.
Last year, we donated $10,000 to charities.
Downgrade to.
The upcoming typhoon is reported to have been downgraded to a tropical storm.
Download into.
You can download this game for free into your computer.
Doze off.
Tim dozed off in the middle of the speech and began to snore.
Drag down.
The failure dragged me down.
Drag on.
The meeting dragged on all morning.
Drag out.
My teacher dragged his lecture out for 1.5 hours.
Drain away.
Rainwater can drain away into the earth.
Drain from.
David drained the water from the sink.
Drain of.
The country has been drained of its skilled workers.
Drape in. Drape with.
The coffin in which Mr. Smith lay was draped in the national flag.
Draw back from.
The boy drew back in terror as the dog barked at him.
Draw in.
The evening is drawing in.
Draw in.
A figurehead should stand above the political fray. No one should draw him in.
Draw into.
I won't be drawn into a fight.
Draw on.
Summer vacation is drawing on.
Draw on.
A good teacher draws on his own expertise and experience.
Draw out.
The days are drawing out when spring is coming.
Draw out.
They drew out the meeting for another hour.
Draw up.
A taxi drew up just as I stepped out of the train station.
Draw up.
We have drawn up a contract.
Dream about. Dream of.
Little did I dream of meeting him in person.
Dream up.
Who dreamed up this crazy idea?
Dress down.
We dressed down to visit the refugees.
Dress down.
My teacher dressed me down for being late for school.
Dress up.
Tina dressed up to go to the party.
Dress up.
Amy's mother dressed her up as a princess.
Drink in.
We sat on the riverbank drinking in the beautiful view.
Drink oneself into.
Don't drink yourself into unconsciousness.
Drink to.
Let's drink to your success.
Drip with.
Her hands were dripping with sweat.
Drive at.
What on earth is that guy driving at?
Drive away at.
Tony is in his office driving away at a pile of work.
Drive into. Drive to.
The terrible noises have nearly driven him into insanity.
Drive out of.
The terrible noises have nearly driven him out of mind.
Drop by.
Drop by when you are passing.
Drop in on.
I dropped in on Sherry when I was in town.
Drop off.
Business has been dropping off.
Drop off.
Can you drop me off at the train station? Thanks for the ride.
Drop out of.
Bob sprained his ankle and it forced him to drop out of the race.
Drown out.
Many people were drowned out when the river burst its banks.
Drum up.
We are drumming up support.
Dry out.
The soil is drying out.
Dry out.
The extreme heat has dried the brook out.
Dry up.
His research project was canceled when the money dried up.
Dry up.
Dry up the dishes after they have been washed.
Dust off.
She dusted the dirt and soot off her coat.
Dwell on.
There's no sense in dwelling on the past.
Dwindle away. Dwindle down.
Her savings have been dwindling away over the past 2 years.
Dwindle to.
The stream has dwindled to a trickle.